YouTube, what is going on today? Welcome back with another video. We talked about last week in this video all of the classes that you could select in Destiny. Today I'm going to give you the perfect guide to start being a hunter. Do you like to be over caffeinated? Do you like to get in and stir up trouble? Do you like to be the instigator for the majority of the problems that exist in PvP or PvE settings? This video is for you. Let's dive right in. One thing that you have to understand about the hunter, first and foremost, that you must love Cade 6 in order to play the hunter. This is non-negotiable. From the beginning of Destiny players playing the game, from the beginning of falling in love with the storyline, the majority of the people who selected the hunter did it because they fell in love with Cade 6. It's understandable, I get it. So now what you need to know is in order to accept this character, in order to accept the hunter's way of life, you must be part of the Cade 6 group, the Cade 6 squad. Whatever the case may be, you have to love Cade 6. Hunters constitute the largest percentage of player base. At 37% roughly, Titans and Warlocks are about 31.5% each. That's not very important information. It's just letting you know that hunters seemingly are the most approachable character to select. Again, we talked about this in the last video. The jump mechanics are probably the easiest out of all three characters. The feel of the play is the most natural in comparison to other games that you're going to play. So therefore, you're going to have more people that are running hunters initially. And if you're going to be a hunter, accept the fact that Stompies are life. Come here, get closer. Stompies are life. This is one of those exotics that is going to really boost your ability to play the game as a hunter. They've been nerfed. They've tried to nerf them into the ground. Still doesn't work. The hunter is elite with the Stompies, period. Which brings us to point number 1. Mobility is key when you're running a hunter. Dodges, marksman and gambler dodges, those are going to be your bread and butter. That's going to be your lifeblood when it comes to the way that you use a hunter. Movement is elite with a hunter compared to a warlock and a titan. You can strafe and dodge and do all this crazy stuff when your mobility is jacked up. Put that mobility at 100, get in there and have a lot of fun. And like we were talking about just a second ago, exotics like the Gemini Jesters, the Stompies, things like that that help with movement are made much, much better by the hunter's mobility. So jack it up, have a good time, jump in there, be fast, be furious, and piss a lot of people off. Number 2, hunters are hands down the best dressed. I don't care. Fight me on this one. Hunters have the best drip. They always are focusing on drip over skill, right? Overall, the hunter's abilities and what the hunter can do in comparison to a titan and a warlock, it's pretty subpar, but the drip is key. Man, there are a lot of good looking hunters. There are a lot of people that have figured out that the hunters do have the best drip. They just look better. They look meaner. They look more serious. You could also be a goofy hunter too. I don't know. Hunters just for some reason happen to have the best drip. So drip over skill, accept that, right? The widest variety of cosmetics that exist for the hunter, which is also going to help out with this next point. Black is going to be your color. How many of you have sat there for hours on end going through all the shaders, trying to figure out what shader your helmet needs, your gauntlet needs, your legs need, your chest piece, all of this to try and get your hunter to be just blacked out? You want that thing to look dark. That needs to be a ninja. It's a shadow, man. So black is going to be your color, mobility is going to be key, and accept the fact that you're best dressed. Point number 3, you've got 5 different subclasses right now. This is right before the final shape is coming out. We don't know what's going to happen after the final shape, but as of right now, for your subclasses, you have Void, and I'm just going to highlight the key aspects of these subclasses for you as a hunter. We're not going to do a deep dive into the subclasses, but for Void, you can go invisible, and you've got a tether. It's a very incredible control subclass. If you're doing a lot of PvE grinding, that tether can latch on to a bunch of different enemies, cause a ton of damage, create a ton of orbs. It's really great. If you're doing PvE and PvP, the ability to go invisible is fantastic. It gets you out of a lot of different scenarios where otherwise you would be dead, because the hunters are not known for a lot of resilience. Having an aspect like invisibility helps out a lot. You couple this with the incredible movement that the hunters tend to have. This is going to be very, very key. It's a very good aspect to the Void subclass. Your next subclass is going to be Solar. It's basically just a flaming revolver, or you've got Blade Barrage, just a bunch of flaming knives. These are really powerful. They tend to be somewhat shutdown supers. Again, with the hunter movement, you can position yourself while you have the golden gun activated. You can have one that's all charged up and you can do one big shot that pretty much takes everything out, or you can have a revolver that's got a couple of shots in it and you can really work a map. If you're doing a 6v6 type playlist on PvP, the golden gun is outrageously annoying because it's really, really good. And then being able to have that gun skill as a hunter, in addition to the movement, it puts you in really good positioning. You could probably wipe out a team if you get to the right spot. Or you've got the Blade Barrage. Let's say that a Warlock comes through and pops a well on a zone, and everyone knows that the Well of Radiance for the Warlock is obnoxious as well. A Blade Barrage can come in and take that out. And then more often than not, you can get multiple kills with your Blade Barrage. It's basically lighting a bunch of blades on fire and scattering them about, and anyone that's in the way, they're done. It tracks people too, just a little bit. So this is a really good one. On top of that, you have all of your solar grenades. You can put a healing grenade on. As you know, with the way that Destiny 2 is now, grenades aren't specific to characters, so you have access to pretty much all the grenades that Titans and Warlocks have access to. Your next one, subclass, is going to be Arc. It's just a really flashy super. It's very electric, if you will. This is one that's going to give you either an electric staff to throw or an electric staff to wield. Both of these are really fascinating. The electric staff tends to be the most popular. I think that with being able to wield the electric staff, doing Blade Dancer, they kind of nerfed that one into the ground a while back. But being able to throw your Sparky Stick, it allows you to do a lot of damage over time. It allows you to control an area, keep people off of a zone, whatever the case may be. This is in PvP, and in PvE, you start adding in your traces, you start adding in all of your chain effects and things like that. It can be a very, very viable super. You could throw in all of the different exotics and all of the different builds to be able to chain affect all of your supers. So for PvE, it's very viable as well. So it is pretty powerful. I feel like that one may be one of the most popular, has been one of the most popular for a while. But with all of the other subclasses that are out too, it's pretty balanced as far as what people are using on hunters. But Arc is a very good one, still very viable. Then you have your next subclass, which is going to be Stasis. And if you've been playing the game for a while, everyone knows about Stasis. Welcome to the dark side. You get to throw 2 ice scythes. It's a ninja star for a melee, basically. Again, with Stasis can be what you make it. Some people think that it's garbage. Some people think that it's great. I don't see a lot of Stasis hunters running around. You always have the ability to be able to freeze combatants. So in situations in PvE where you've got a lot of powerful combatants, you want to try and freeze and control an area, maybe add control. This is really good. I don't see a lot of Stasis hunters running in PvP. It's really not that viable right now, but it can be. And then your last one is going to be Strand, right? This is going to be your thread runner. If you'll watch a lot of streamers nowadays running trials or running PvP in general, there's a lot of Strand on there for hunters, and that's because of the movement, the abilities. You can suspend people, you can take your stompies, you can jump up way too high where people aren't paying attention, and then you can dive in, hit the ground, get everyone suspended, put them in a situation where they can't really shoot back at you in a very accurate way. You take them out pretty easy. but Strand is Strand. You know, it's going to be about the same way across all subclasses. So Strand is a pretty good subclass for the Hunter as well. That's going to be all of your subclasses: Void, Solar, Arc, Stasis, Strand, and that's just a quick rundown on what all of them are. And then number 4, the Hunter is very straightforward. Learning the best ways to use the abilities that the Hunter has and what exotics work best can make a solid character choice. This goes back to what we talked about in the video last week, a couple weeks ago. The Hunter is what you make the Hunter. It can be very straightforward, it can be very basic, or you can get pretty complex with the Hunter as well. Learn what exotics work best with which subclasses. You can do something like the Stompies, which are just a very general movement-based type of exotic. Really helps you out in all subclasses, but there are exotics that work best specifically with certain subclasses. Pay attention to that. Do your research. Look in and see which grenades work best with this and how this piece of armor complements, whatever the case may be, and start to learn to adapt and to grow with all of that. I know it can be overwhelming. Again, if you'll go back and look at some of the other videos that I've posted, a lot of the Destiny stuff in matching up exotics, it does get overwhelming. That's okay. Don't get overwhelmed. We'll figure this out together. Number 5, you're going to have a fast movement style gameplay. It's very, very evasive. I feel like this goes without saying when you pick something like the Hunter. The Hunter's a lot smaller. The Hunter doesn't have nearly the amount of defense, but doesn't really need it if you're learning how to move. Be aggressive with a Hunter, but you could also be a Hunter that sits on the outside, picks whoever they need to pick, like in a PvP setting, take a few pop shots, sprint over to the next spot, use your movement, learn how to bob and weave, dip, duck, dive, dodge, and dip, whatever. But learn how to use the movement of the Hunter to your advantage. You don't have to get caught in compromising situations if you're constantly moving. If you're standing still with a Hunter and you think that you're going to be a tank like a Titan is, you're going to be very disappointed. The Hunter is not built for that. The Hunter is built to get in, do some damage, stir some stuff up, and then get out quickly. Hunters are constantly caffeinated. They are over caffeinated. They are like little rabbits on crack, and they'll get in there, they'll do a lot of damage, they'll piss a lot of people off, and then they're gone. Last point, overall, the Hunter's kind of meh. You know, if I'm to use a really good Oxford Dictionary description and adjectives of the Hunter, it's meh, you know. But in the right hands, a Hunter can be deadly. Hunter's abilities are not overwhelming. Hunter's abilities are not crazy and spectacular. You're not going to do all of the mystical stuff that you'll do with a Warlock, and you're not going to do all of the extremely crazy high damage stuff with your abilities that like the Titan would do. But you can be really, really deadly as a Hunter. Again, the movement, pay attention to that. Lining up your subclasses with the exotics that you select. Understand that your mobility is going to be key in all of it. And most importantly with the Hunter, drip over skill. Drip is greater than skill. Work that drip. Get in there, run the raids as a Hunter, so at the end of it, you can be standing there at the finish line looking better than everybody else. Nobody has to know that you got a quarter of the kills. Nobody has to know that you really didn't condone a whole lot to the overall accomplishment of defeating Crota, but you're going to look the best, and that's all people are going to pay attention to at the end of the day. Get in there, pick your Hunter, pick your drip, start chipping away at figuring out your exotics. Do your research. Figure it out. Go have fun. Love you guys. As always, thank you for the support. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being here. Like, follow, subscribe. Come hang out on Twitch. Bring your Hunter so we can laugh and make fun of you, but also you can destroy us at the same time. You guys take it easy. Be good. Be good at it. See you next time.